What's up, everybody? Thanks for joining me on these analysis. We're going to be looking at MSTR, Microstrategy, and BTC, Bitcoin. We'll also be going over indicators and different charts. So as we can see here on this downward sloping trend line, we close outside of it. Looks like we could potentially be getting a retest. We'll see if we fall all the way through or if this is actually a retest, of course, throughout the week. Like I said, the key levels that we're looking for to close above is this level here, 414, and ideally somewhere around this white line here, or at the minimum closing above this large box here, which is the golden zone that we continuously talk about. For anybody new here, it is this golden zone here that is biased towards the downside, the 0.5 to the 618. It's a key level for retracement. It's almost like a magnet. Price tends to touch these levels in different directions, and this one's in a bearish direction, so it's going to have an increased likelihood to push back down. And that's kind of what we've been seeing. Price has been stalling out, but we're waiting to see if we can finally break, retest, and continue to push up higher off of this level. Right now we're kind of just trending sideways. The day was red, of course, as we all know. It was a negative 2% day, and we found more rejection, and we are creating lower highs. Well, this one seems like it was kind of equal, and this one was a lower high here. So let's see if the trend continues or if this is just a minor reset of more of a retest to push up higher. But we did close back on the daily, back inside of this downward sloping trend line. So now that's going to increase the likelihood of us retesting the bottom of this golden zone and potentially down to this key level and see if we continue to chop, and then we're back to square one. So we'll see where things take us, of course, but that is what I'm looking for right now. We also do have a clean move down. If we were to lose 394, we could potentially see a clean move to around 380 and eventually to 373. And if we lose that, then we could make it down to the bottom of this key level of support here. On the daily SMA, it looks like we are potentially going to run into the 20 and the 50 if price doesn't continue to move. At this point, maybe that's where we're going to actually end up retesting and finding our bounce before pushing up higher. We'll see, of course. But that's going to be a strong level that is going to more than likely act as support. If we lose that, it's going to increase the likelihood of us falling down further. On the 4 hour, we got the 20 pushing above the 50, so it's looking pretty bullish. And this also could act as a level of support along with the bottom of this golden zone. So we are starting to see some kind of formation with moving averages and key levels of support. We'll see if they start to, add as confluence together to push price up higher, or if it ends up falling through. Global liquidity continues to push up higher. As you can see, this is the 12-week against MSTR. Don't take these measurements as gospel. This is just really to show you that it is continuing the trend higher. We are seeing a pullback on global liquidity, but we'll see if we end up pushing up higher or if it ends up to trending sideways. But right now, as the dollar continues to fall, global liquidity will continue to rise. The weekly RSI could be finding a level of support here off this yellow moving average. We do have a nice trend established here, as you can see. So maybe we find some support here and push up higher. It's bullish in nature, so we'll see. It looks like a mini bull flag being formed. But we'll see if it ends up falling through or actually playing out in a bullish nature. Here on the daily, it's also bullish as well. It's just not as steep, but it is looking pretty good. Looks like we're getting some kind of pullback, but let's see if we can find support off this yellow moving average, or let's see if we can just turn around from here and continue and eventually make it to this overbought territory. I do think we should find some level of resistance at around this level here. So around that 60 mark, we should find a level of resistance. So we already found it multiple times. Let's see if we end up breaking through that, and that'll allow us to move up to the 70 overbought region up top. On Bitcoin here on the weekly, we look pretty good. As you can see, we had the nice push above, retested, closed pretty bullish, but now we found some kind of resistance or support, at this level. Let's see if we end up falling through. Price is currently pushing back into this range, but we'll see if we can end up pushing back to the top of it and eventually finding that close that we've been talking about at around 110. And then, of course, if we see that close at 110, then more than likely we'll touch 112. On the daily, we closed right on top of the downward sloping trend line. So that's kind of the key level that we're looking at here on Bitcoin. We want to hold that level, and then we want to hold 107 if we do fall underneath. If we fall underneath that, then that's going to increase the likelihood of us touching around 105, 105.3, somewhere in this region. So keep that in mind. And of course, like I said, if we close above 110, that's going to open up the likelihood of us touching 112. So that's kind of where we're looking at. Up here and down here. We typically box price in, and then when it breaks out, that's when you usually get your nice moves, either to the upside or downside. We did bounce off of our 8-week EMA. Let's see if we end up actually pushing back to it again for another retest, or if that retest was sufficient enough and we actually don't need to retest and we just end up pushing higher. We'll see. And on the daily, we are already touching that 8 EMA. We closed right above it, and it looks like we're touching it again. So hopefully we get that bounce that we're looking for. Price is compressing to the upside, so we'll see if we can actually break through. On a smaller scale, you can see from June 22nd, we pushed up. We ended up getting a pullback to around the 236 off of this move here, and we found another retest off the 236. And when we make it even on a smaller scale, we zoom it in all the way here, you can see that we bounced off the 0.5 to the 618. We've had 2 tests off of that from this move here. Once pushed up, bounced off the 236, back to the 0.5 to the 618, which is a key level of support to continue price to the upside. So let's see if we can hold this level and start to push up higher. We can see a clean move when you look here on the 4-hour. Once you break above the 382, you have clean traffic here to the left-hand side. So if you break around 108.563 and get a close on the 4-hour, it's going to increase the likelihood of us running up to around 109.4. Tether Dominance seems to be riding this upward sloping trend line. Hopefully we can get the momentum to push down to the downside, but this thing is short-term bullish with a longer-term bearish sentiment to it. So the reason I say that is because we have this bear flag being formed here. We have a flag here of our pole here, and then this is the flag being formed. So that would be a measured move to much lower levels, as we know that. So let's see if we can finally break this and push down, or if we continue to ride this trend up higher. When we look at SMAs, we do have support with the 50 and the 200, which is not a good sign. We don't want this tether dominance going up because that means Bitcoin's going to drop. So we'll see, but we do have the 20 holding above right here, acting as resistance. So let's see which one is stronger here on the daily. And on the weekly, we do have the 20 and the 50 holding above price, which we found rejection off of multiple times. So hopefully that holds as a key level resistance here at 493, and we just continue down. So we have been bearish on the dollar. We're still very short-term bearish on the dollar. Maybe we break this upward sloping trend line, but I'll zoom out so you guys can see exactly what I'm talking about. So right now, like I said, we're bearish. We broke down. Looks like we're getting a retest. Let's see if we can continue the trend that we've had established since January 13th. But at the same time, when you zoom out on a larger scale, you can see that we actually have a trend that's been established to the upside. And it looks like we could be finding support right here off this trend line and acting as confluence together with this key level of support and pushing price up higher. So we'll see if the dollar actually breaks through or actually has like a V-shaped recovery and starts to push to the top of the range or channel. So we are getting to the point where this move is looking more likely to reverse than continue on down. But short term, I still think we can see a little bit lower levels, but I don't think for too much longer. That's kind of my view here on the dollar. And Bitcoin and the dollar are sometimes inverse correlated, sometimes they move together, so it's kind of tricky. So the dollar can actually rally up and Bitcoin can as well. It all depends on economic situations and everything. It all plays a role together. But that's pretty much all I have for you guys here on BTC and MSTR. Make sure you guys like and subscribe, drop a comment, and I'll see you guys in the next one.